we should be live. RedLir, how's it going, man?
I'm
What's up?
good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm not too bad. I don't have any complaints. What's going on right now?
I think that's just Gary. You wanted to say hi.
Is that Gary?
No way,
Yeah,
it's Gary. That's Gary and his he's got his celebration hat on. That's his Garmy celebration hat
that's sweet.
because we hit like 10K follows on Twitch. So he was like,
Nice.
wee, wee, wee.
Congratulations. Yeah. So, did Gary
Yeah.
dress up just well, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
celebrating that, but
Yeah.
have he
Gary's a party animal, you know. He likes to party. He drinks a lot.
literally, literally,
Yeah.
who taught him that?
I
The
don't know. I found
drinking.
him that way. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard the Christmas Miracle Gary story, but uh,
No.
he's a wild and crazy guy, you know.
Well,
I found
actually,
him.
no. I'd love to hear the story. Go ahead.
I found Gary partying in like it was like a home sense, I think, you know, like it was Christmas. Went into home sense looking for decorations, and then you know all these. It was like a really posh, you know, setup, all decorated everywhere, beautiful decorations, and then picture like this thing just sitting there on a shelf, like, and I started laughing. I was like, oh my god, like what is that? You know. So if I take Gary's hat off, you'll see. Let's see. If I take a celebratory hat off here for a second, hopefully I don't kill it. But Gary has a underneath, like he's actually got, you know, he's got the old Santa hat. You know what I mean? He's like, wee, give me the eggnog. You know, he's a party animal. So he's sitting there, and I'm like, I'm laughing, and I'm looking at Mrs. RedLir. I'm like, I gotta have that thing. You know, so I grab him, and like the second I grab him, some dude comes around the corner, and you could see he was like super like just disturbed. Like he didn't know what to say or think. And he was like, what kind of bird do you think that is? I was like, I mean, I've got, and he's looking at me and he's looking at Gary, and he's looking at me and he's looking at Gary. And you can tell he's upset that I have Gary in my hand. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like maybe it's a peacock. Like, I don't know, man. He's like, I just spent 10 minutes arguing with my wife and the clerk up there what kind of bird that is, man. And I'm like, okay. And so, and you could tell, like, he had given up the only chance to actually grab Gary for himself and purchase him and bring him home. He was the only one in the store. And so we like started walking out with Gary, and he was just like visibly upset, you know. So we saved Gary from the clutches of that dude. But there he is.
Is he a peacock? You think?
I don't know, like
Determine.
if you look at his butt, I think so. But uh, so anyway, I took him home. You know, we're laughing like this ugly friggin' thing. You know, don't tell him that. So I took a picture of him and I put it on Twitter, and we made a joke mode for the holidays right on Twitch, and the Twitch chat just sort of ran with it, and it's been like the mascot ever since. So, oh, speaking of mascots, this cat
Speaking
just
of
attacked me.
mascot, trouble.
There we go.
Yeah.
Jeez, Louise, trouble.
Geez, you're a man of many creatures.
I know. It's like I think it's expensive feeding these things, you know.
So Red Lair, you're not Canadian, and oh, I forgot
What do
to.
you mean? What do you mean? I'm not Canadian.
Oh, you are Canadian. On a scale of one
Take
to
off, eh, hoser?
on a scale of 1 to 10, how Canadian are you, or how Canadian do you think you are?
I don't know, man. Like, I used to think I was like, you know, probably up near like trouble, probably like I'll be near an 8 or a 9. But then I met Mrs. Redlear, and like, she definitely has the boot
Oh yeah.
and everything about her. And I was like, wow, I don't think I'm quite that Canadian, you know. But I'm probably like a 6 or a 7, you know.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
You know.
I also wanted to formally greet you with a WEEOO. I know I don't I
Wee.
don't say that half as much as I probably should, but I guess for good
Yeah, it
reason.
comes with age, though, you know.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, like even when I started saying Wii U, it just sort of it was one of those things that yeah, I think probably the first Wii U was kind of like ooh, and it probably started more like that, and just over time it ended up like Wii
It
U. It
escalated
gets
quickly.
really you get really into it, you know.
Tell me about the first WEEOO.
I don't know. That's a good question. It really is. It really is something that just grew over time, and I don't consciously know when exactly it shifted to full on like brand level Wii U. You know, like it just I don't know. It did start like with almost like a Ric Flair thing when the exciting things would happen, you know, like woo, like just stuff like that. And eventually it just morphed itself into Wii U. And then, of course, we started Wii Uing patch notes at some point, and that kind of grew into a thing. And then we made the emotes.
Yeah.
And now we have Wii U Nation, which is the stream team. So I don't know. It's just blowing up. Who knows?
Yeah, it's kind of like a business, and it's kind of well, you got the whole like organic Bill Gates kind of story. It's like I remember the early days of the Wii U.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
$1 million paychecks any
yep.
moment now. Yeah.
Chris Roberts is probably a little bit jealous you're cutting into his
Yeah.
funds right now with your Wii U. So
You're speaking of Chris Roberts, not to go off on a too long of a tangent, but today, and this ties into the Gary Christmas miracle story. We actually watched the 2015 a Christmas special with Chris Roberts. Ben Lesnick had the great idea of watching him play live on stream, and everything was broken.
Yes.
It was just so like,
oh, I saw that a couple days ago.
it was so like it's such a train wreck, man.
That's where they spent like 10 minutes just trying to get Windows to boot, right?
Yeah, it was just brutal.
Yeah.
And so finally, like, and we had like a moment today where we realized where Star Citizen went from like a joystick game, like HOTAS, to like gamepad, right? He's like frustrated that nothing's working, and he literally just grabs and reaches for the gamepad. It's like, all right, I'm ready to go. And it's like, oh, there's the moment, you know?
You know, one thing that drives me bananas about that sequence, and maybe there's a bunch of it as well that I'm unaware of, but just their fascination with the joystick. It's like, you don't need the fancy joystick. Like, you're not a power gamer. You're not going to go on 3-hour PvP binges. Like, just get a mouse and a keyboard and have a nice day.
Yeah. I'm like, and I was trying to put myself back in those shoes, even like that was 2.0. And that actually would have been just before I started playing myself. Like, I was interested in the project in December of 2015, but I hadn't bought a package yet. I was just checking out Twitch streamers and whatever. But like, even thinking back to early 2016, like how messed up the PU was, because it was what were we getting, 10 15 frames if we were lucky in the PU at that time. Like they had just released it, right? So it was just a buggy mess, man.
Yeah. Well, I was playing on a laptop back then, so I was.
Oh wow.
If I got to 10 frames, I was feeling pretty good. I was about 5 to 10, and you can look at some of my older videos, and you'll see the slideshow days. They were good days.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, the PC I have now, we actually built it for the PU, because it used to be, well, I mean, the way it was all about single threaded, like how fast can you go on your PC thing. So we built a 7700K and overclocked for like 5 gigs, right? Just to try to get as many frames as we could out of the PU at the time, because it was about as fast as you can go. But now I guess it's getting better where more cores matter. But
yeah, I don't know much about that. From what I hear from other people around, the client doesn't really take quite advantage of the hardware that's available.
no, not fully yet. No, I think like when they get into things like Vulkan and stuff, it'll get better, but it's still better than it was back then. Back then, I think it was all running on one thread. I don't know. It was nuts. But it is weird to look at like that footage though, like technology aside, and then look at it now, even though I didn't really get into the game for, PU exploring kind of thing. It was more about the combat experience I was having at the time. But it is kind of crazy to look at Chris Roberts fumbling with 2.0 and then rolling up to like Magda right now with height mapping and just going, holy shit, like that looks amazing. Even though the gameplay's not there, but the verse has definitely come a long way.
One thing I love about that video is that Chris Roberts, he shows the Star Citizen behaviors, like the stuff that we have to deal with on the daily basis. We get
and you see how frustrated he's getting,
totally.
Right? Like he's
but I have nothing but empathy, it's like, oh, I remember feeling that way. No, but seriously though, and I specifically remember in 2.0, I don't know what it's like now. Like if you start out in 3.10, if it's an easier game to play, but in 2.0, it took me 2 weeks to learn how to play the game, like a good solid 2 weeks before I had like a natural way about it, and everything Chris Roberts was experiencing is exactly that. But I don't know if it's still
it's still the same, honestly. Just in a different way, because if you there's so many keybinds, there's so many things that as an experienced player is a bug and what the workaround is, but as a new player you're thinking, is this how it's supposed to be? Like, you know, like you don't know, right? And then unless you pop into a Twitch chat or something, have someone tell you, like, eh, yeah.
Or you get one of those what are those called? Those guides or whatever. The like the thing you set your account on and you act as like a helper.
I did that today. Actually,
Yeah.
I set it up for the first time today. I helped 3 people. Did you know if you help 6 people, they give you a little arrow, like it's an arrow skin for your anvil arrow?
That's pretty sweet. I
It's
didn't know that. What's the
yeah, it's like a
significance
teal green.
Oh, it's teal.
Oh, teal blue, I guess. Well, like whatever teal is, I suppose. But it, Girl in Pigtails had one. It actually looks really good. So I said, well, shit, I got to send him for that. I'll help people. I mean, I help people all the time. You know, I help people not buy the game for 5 years.
Is that what it is?
I was like signing up for the guide system. Like, there's no way they're gonna let me sign up for this. Like, I've spent 5 years telling people not to buy the game. This is not gonna.
I can't.
It's not gonna let me in.
When people come on my stream and they're still noobs at it or whatever you call it, they haven't bought a package yet. I'm like, just be prepared. You're paying to be a game tester. So
well, yeah, and I, honestly, like that's the question over the years. All streamers get the most, and different streamers have different responses. But I am always like, "Hey, RedLir, I heard about this game. Is it worth it? Should I buy it?" I'm always like, literally, stop. No, put your money away for a second. I'm not saying it's not worth getting, but it's put your money away. Check out some Twitch streams, watch a Squadron 42 video, and hang out in Twitch chats for a good month and ask questions. You know what I mean? Just ask questions. And then you explain to them, hey, alpha crowdfunding, it's been going on since 2012. Probably not going to see the end of the tunnel for at least another, whatever years. Buggy. And then, like, is that the kind of thing that you're into? Some people are really into that, man. Some people love early access, no matter how broken it is. Some people, they're showing up and they're looking to spend, maybe they got $100 for the year to buy a couple games on Steam and they're looking for that polished experience. Like, this is not it, right? And the last thing you want to do is say, hey, here's my referral code. Go spend your money. And they come back in, 2 days and go, this is crazy. Why is it so broken? So I always give people like full fair warning. And then, at the very end of it, I give my referral code, but maybe that's why my referral codes are so low.
I was thinking, like, those are bold words coming from a quadruple legatus. Or are you
quadruple? I am not legatus, dude.
What is higher than quadruple legatus? Like
ask Nerd Show and Tell. He's probably close to it, I would think. I don't know.
Like a cinco. I don't know. What is octo?
They're gonna have to open up new levels for some people. Well, Clifford to think was like double. Yeah. I don't know if you remember Clifford. I don't know where he is, like aka Miku or whatever. I think he was double legatus by the time I even started. So I don't know if he was still going. There's some big whales in this game,
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah. When I had Liquid Force on here, who is a part of the gray market traders.
Oh yeah.
And he was telling me there's people over 500,000 invested in this game.
Like, 500,000.
That's pretty crazy.
But I mean, they got to be folks that just like at that point, money doesn't mean anything to those folks. You know what I mean? Like yeah. And that's the same thing. Like people always go, man, I can't believe people would pay $35,000 for this package. It's like, yeah, but stop and think about it for a second. For you and I buying whatever, maybe a Cutlass Black package is like, oh, well, do I want to put my $110, $150 in this? For them, if they're buying $35,000 packages, it probably doesn't. It's not like they're saving up and eating ramen noodles, to buy it. Like,
yeah,
that's probably chump change to them. I wish it was chump change to me, but it's not.
That's why whenever I see people post on Reddit, like, what ship should I buy? I'm always like, Idris. Because you don't know what their financial situation is. They're probably more than comfortable buying an Idris.
Go big.
Well, I don't say Javelin. I don't get too carried away.
Well, that's just an F5 war waiting to happen right there.
I love the F5 war. I mean, nothing has been more of a thrill in Star Citizen than F5 battles.
Here's the trick to the F5 war in Star Citizen, especially when it comes to an Idris or a Javelin being sold like Anniversary or whatever, the sales. Let the first F5 war go. You know what I mean? Just let it go. Don't even try. Let it go. Let the second one go. Let the third one go. How many there is, let it go. After that last one, wait 24 hours, and then check the page. Because what happens is people put it in the cart, they hit checkout, and then they lose the nerve.
Yeah.
And they don't go through the PayPal thing. And then it cancels out 24 hours later and it goes back into the pile.
That's true.
And boom. And nobody's looking at that time, right? They're like,
true.
oh. And then boom, you grab, put one in the cart, you take your time, you know. That's the trick.
You hear that, everybody out there watching right now? That's the advice of a quadruple legatus. He didn't get that way naturally, you know. He did that through skill and intelligence.
Don't ask me how I know that trick, but I mean, I heard that's how it works.
So wait, you're married, and does your spouse?
No, I'm not married.
You're not. Okay.
I just referred to Mrs. RedLir as Mrs. RedLir.
Okay.
I'm married to the stream. I'm married to chat. You know.
Okay. And like, you know, one of my follow-up questions there was going to be that you proposed to CIG, and I was thinking,
well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, aren't you already married? Wouldn't that make you like a polygamist or something?
No. And you know, Mrs. RedLir is pretty open. I'm pretty sure if Chris Roberts accepted, you know, with 300 million crowdfunded, I mean, think about it. If I married Chris Roberts, you know, that's like half the stuff I could get back for the community. You know, no one gets it. They think it's a meme. I could get half the stuff back, chat. Like that's significant. Plus half future earnings. Like that's a lot of money. You know. I don't know what Sandy has to say about it, but
would you add giraffes to the game?
I definitely would, and I would add Gary to the game as well. Everybody would get a Gary because you got to fight the evil Pico, so everybody needs a Gary.
I think Gary is actually a perfect addition to the game because he's kind of like an alien, isn't he? Would he identify as an alien? Extraterrestrial?
I'm not sure. I mean, with his hat, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he was definitely very alien when I found him. I don't know. There he is.
Kind of looks like an ostrich and a flamingo together. They're like a hybrid.
He's definitely a mix. I'm pretty sure his parents met on like a wild night back in the 80s or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, I know that story all too well.
Whoa, ayo.
On that subject, I typically talk about COVID on these talk shows. It's like your introduction discussion. But now I'm having second thoughts. I'm like, do you think COVID is a relevant subject to talk about on a talk show?
I don't know. I think it's part of everybody's daily.
Is it still?
Daily lives in denial. I mean, it depends where you are in the world too, right? Like up here in Canada, it's like the curve was flattened, but slowly it's starting to unflatten in certain areas. And I don't know. It seems like the initial response is quite different given the same numbers at the beginning of this thing as it is now, right? Like when it first started happening, lock everything down, yada yada. We got this many cases, and then they flattened it a bit, and then they laxed everything, started opening everything up again, and it's literally the second wave, and the response is totally different now. It's send the kids back to school, everybody open up. Like, I don't know. I think people have just given up at this point.
Yeah, that's what Bam Bam's saying there in chat, is that America is pretty much over that. And I'm not sure because I'm such a recluse. Like I just, you know, I work on the internet, so I live on the internet, and I never go outside. Who needs to go outside? And from the people that I talk to within Star Citizen, nobody seems to be too affected by it, with the exception of a couple of people.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out if I had it. Like back in, what was it, March or early April, I went out for supplies or something after, you know, locking down for the initial 14 days. And after 5 days, I caught like 102 fever and I was just like super sore everywhere. So I quarantined myself, but I could have had it already. Nobody knows.
But you guys have testing out there, don't you?
Yeah. But it was one of those things where it was so rampant at the time. It was like, well, okay, I'm already sick. Unless it gets crazy. Either one, I don't have it and I'm exposing myself to it in a sickened state going out, or B, I do have it and I'm not that sick, but I'm going to expose other people to it. So I just like stayed in bed, you know?
Yeah. Well, let me switch it up a bit and let me ask you about your sunglasses. So talk to me a bit about your sunglasses.
Well, I have many pairs of sunglasses and I don't know, it's weird because people are like, man, has anybody ever seen you without your sunglasses? And it's ironic because most of the emotes of me in my stream are me without my sunglasses.
What? I've never seen
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, look at my emotes here.
Oh, right. That's your profile picture, isn't it? No, you have sunglasses on that.
I mean, well, okay. So there's the RedLir Rage. I'll put it in there. That's me without sunglasses. Look, there we go. You can see me. I mean, it's kind of small, obviously. I mean, here's RedLir Muppet. That's technically me without sunglasses. Even though it doesn't really quite look like me anymore. And here I am. Look at this one. Wee-hoo! Without sunglasses. Oh, trouble is being a pest. There we go. I don't know. Like when I started streaming, it's weird. Like thinking back 5 years ago when I started streaming, because I had no intentions of being a streamer. I think I had tried it once before, just like as a curiosity, playing Skyrim with a machine I couldn't even stream on. And when I started streaming, it was like, I think I was more like very much more introverted back then in, how I was streaming than I am now. It's like streaming is just sort of like whatever. I think to be like a streamer, eventually you just have to get over yourself. You know what I mean? Like if like really that's what it comes down to, right? People like if you're just worried about what people think about you or talk about you, whatever, it's never going to work out. But I think slowly that was sort of a progression. The glasses thing, I don't think I ever wore them for that reason. I think it was really at some point I had a really crappy webcam and I had so many lights. Like it was crazy how many lights I had just to make the crappy webcam work. And it just sort of became part of the thing, right? I had polarized my actual prescriptions, which are not these, but the same company, Randolph Engineering, which I am wearing a pair of Randolph Engineering, but they were kind of like these, but they were polarized brown lenses. They just, it was good because it cut the glare and stuff. But then I just kind of got used to wearing them and having the glare cut off the monitors and everything. I just kept going with it. So it wasn't like an intentional thing, like I'm going to look cool, and put these on. It was just a slow progression like everything else.
These are pretty cool. I've never heard of Randolph Engineering before. And I mean,
yeah, Randolph Engineering in the States provides at least they used to. I don't know about now, but they're basically the contractor that provides the military with their lenses.
These are sweet. You know what these remind me of? These look like the ones that Neil Armstrong had in, well, I guess a little bit during the Apollo era, but more specifically
yeah, back
during
then.
that movie.
I'm not sure if it was Randolph Engineering back then. There was another company before them back then, but yeah, it's similar style. Like if you look at like Top Gun, like all that stuff, anything military style, they have Randolph. They're all wearing Randolph Engineerings.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna have to get myself a pair maybe someday in the future.
Yeah, I mean they're good because like the lenses are actually like mineral glass, like they're really really scratch resistant and stuff.
I currently have a pair of Ray-Bans, but I feel awful wearing them everywhere I go because, then you're a guy who wears Ray-Bans, I suppose.
See, I'm not a guy that wears Ray-Bans. Except for my like prescription glasses. Maybe I have a pair somewhere, but not sunglasses.
So I was going through your Twitter stuff today, and I saw that you had a couple of posts about pizza. That's important to me, obviously, because you're aware of my pizza shenanigans, right? Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree with your topping selection every week, but I definitely have respect for somebody that can make a pizza from scratch.
Okay, well, let's dig into that a little bit. Talk to me more about your hatred against kale, and I'll talk to you more about my hatred against pineapple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the thing about like I like a lot of toppings on pizza. Kale, I'm not a fan of in general. But for me, a pizza, and when I was a young RedLir, I actually worked at a pizza place, right?
Nice.
I started off as like a delivery driver as a young RedLir. I think I was like 16 or something. And then I ended up working in the kitchen. And so I learned how to make the pizza. And there's actually a gif of me doing this on my channel, but I was explaining to chat one day how you literally spin the dough and, you stretch it out by throwing it in the air and not catching it on the ceiling fan. That's happened once. But the thing is, when I worked there, I literally tried every combination of pizza there must have been like under the sun because it was all like just have whatever you want, right? and I lean more towards grease.
Yeah.
You know, like to me, there's a limit when you put vegetables on a pizza because it just turns to watery
Yeah.
goop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you got to be, especially with tomatoes, mushrooms sometimes. Like to me, it's all about like the pepperoni, the bacon, the sausage. Maybe you put a little green peppers on there for splash. You know, you have some mushrooms for a little bit of flavor. But it's got to be like at least a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 meat ratio. Like the pineapple, I just like because if you get like something super salty, it's nice to have that little bit of sweet to kind of offset it. So if you get like a ham, pineapple, and when I say ham, I mean what the Americans know as Canadian bacon for whatever reason. Ham, bacon, sausage, you know, you get it nice and salty, and then you put a little bit of pineapple on there, a little bit of green pepper. That's a nice treat once in a while. You know what I mean, Chad? Just a little something something. It's no different than like eating a big greasy pizza and then having a sip of sweet Coke. You know what I
Oh
mean?
God, that's
You're
the
just
worst.
changing the palate. You know,
Yeah.
you're just cleansing it. You know,
So much sugar there. Do you mind if
this
I
is
do you mind if I ask which pizza place you used to work at?
uh, it was a place in Eastern Ontario called Pizza Pizza,
Oh, it's Pizza Pizza. Okay.
and
Yeah.
I would never order that from there.
No, of course not.
But if you're someone that works there and you could make it yourself and triple the toppings they would normally put on it, it was actually good.
I think Pizza Pizza was more of a New York style, if I'm not mistaken. Did you used to cook them on a grate, like one of the steel wire
I it,
mesh trays?
I think they made the big party pizzas on that, but it was basically stone ovens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was all on stone with like parchment paper on the thing. You
okay,
just slide them in with a big spatula. But yeah, it wasn't wood fire, but it was like
kind
stone
of
cooking.
kind of Neapolitan then, but it's awful pizza at Pizza Pizza. That's the thing. I'm surprised that they had a Neapolitan style, but
Mm,
maybe it's just their dough or their cheese they're using was just really cheap. I wonder.
not sure.
Yeah. Well, I love
Like
a. Mm,
when I grew up, like I will say that that pizza was not like definitely not the best pizza. You can make it good and because you're cooking it yourself and piling toppings on. But like when I remember growing up, and it was like I grew up in a small, you know, a small place, and but there was pizza places everywhere. And the crazy thing is, they all made this like really like the pizza was this thick, and most of it was cheese and meat and like like I just grew up thinking that this is what pizza is. You know, man, this is great. I love this shit. Pizza everywhere. It's beautiful. Everybody makes great pizza. And then I moved away and went to school and went to the big city. And I'm not even kidding. I spent 20 years plus looking for a good pizza again. Like nobody knows how to make a good pizza. It's bonkers.
That's actually where I am right now. I started making pizza when I moved out to Vic because there's nowhere that really has great pizza. And
Yeah.
I grew up in Windsor, so just outside of Detroit, and the Detroit style pizza is incredibly popular there. And I really think the Detroit style pizza is like of the best because it's a mix between the Chicago style and the New York style, literally. If you're familiar with those at all.
Yeah. I mean, a bit of deep dish, a bit of like, yeah. That's probably what I grew up on too. Honestly, like,
Yeah. Did you have Little Caesars when you were growing up?
I mean, there was no chain places when I like the restaurants we ate when I grew up and like when I was young. There was no chains of pizza places. I think maybe there was a Pizza Hut at some point. And I will say back then the Pizza Hut was actually it's not the Pizza Hut we have today. Like most places over the years as they progress, Pizza Hut was like a fancy sit down restaurant, and they had actually top tier pizza. It was weird, but it wasn't like the hometown style pizza. It was still, you know, franchise, but now you order from Pizza Hut and it's like just cardboard like everybody
Cardboard.
else.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
the best of the cardboard out there. I think
Yeah, I
Pizza
guess
Hut.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. In I had a meeting today at work, and we were actually discussing that we would eat Pizza Hut out of a dumpster. Like it's of the best of the chains that we would want to eat it out of a dumpster. It's kind of a metaphor, really.
Well,
Um,
I think they soak their crust in butter, right? Or something. They oil it up when they cook it. There's
you
something
got
they
it. Well, you
do.
have to do that when you do deep dish. It's the best way to
Yeah.
prevent the sticking. And like you got to oil both sides of the dough. In
Yeah.
some Chicago style pizzas, they actually put Parmesan Reggiano between the dough and whatever pan you use. Adds an additional lubricant
Yeah.
in there.
And that's the crack about Pizza Hut, right? That was their I guess how they like you just wanted to devour their dough. It was just so good, and that's what it was. It was just full of butter and whatever
Oh,
oil. It was
so good.
good.
And I remember like the first time going to the States and having Pizza Hut in the States and having like indigestion for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days afterwards. You know, it's good food.
Oh man.
And also, Radagast, I guess that kind of dates RedLir's age because he predates the current state of Pizza Hut. So if you're
Yeah,
curious,
that's true.
if you're
It's very
curious,
true.
I said that you were 90.
29.
I said that you're 90. Well, some reason all of Twitch says that you're 29, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
I just turned 29 this year. Yeah. What are you laughing at?
I'm
What?
just thought you
What?
know it's looking at a Reddit post here. It's funny. It's a funny post here on Reddit.
29 again. uh,
So,
yeah,
are you following any of the SpaceX stuff right now? Any chance?
not actively, but of course, every time I turn on the stream and if there's something going on, chat's always talking about it or showing me links and stuff, and man, it blows my mind like how far they've come. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the one rocket had a static fire on Sunday, so now I guess we're hoping for a hop, 150-meter hop of that SN6 vehicle. So soon maybe. It's nice to see progress happening. I think out there in the world because sometimes Star Citizen can kind of bring on downers, and we don't have as much activity as we used to in Star Citizen. I would say.
Well, it is taxing,
Yeah. Yeah, especially streamers.
It's a taxing. I mean, I want to say it's a taxing game to play, but it's not a game. It's
No.
like it's a taxing experience. You're basically QC testing, and sometimes you're QC testing whenever they've given up on something that there's no point even testing anymore. But there's no choice because it's a wall between you and the rest of the game. So, you know.
So, what did you used to do before Star Citizen?
Like for games, I'm not a single player gamer kind of thing. Like, uh, I guess how I found Star Citizen, like really, I played a lot of EVE Online. I loved EVE Online for the sandbox. I played a lot of SWG. I played World of Warcraft. I love MMOs. So I played EVE Online a lot, got into nullsec warfare, and it becomes like a full-time job. You know what I mean? It really is, but it's a great sandbox. It's a beautiful game. But I stepped away from it for a few months, and then around Christmas time, 2015, I was like, oh man, I really want to play a game, MMO, but I don't want to, I really don't want to go back and get into EVE like that again. And I just started Googling around, MMO space, whatever, and I bumped into Star Citizen. And I think I had bumped into it before, but it was just like a hanger module, and I didn't really pay any attention to it. I never read anything. I didn't really know who Chris Roberts was. I definitely did not know who Derek Smart was. But, I had found Twitch previously because I was into SOTOR, waiting for Star Wars, The Old Republic, because I loved SWG, and I thought maybe this is the next one. And that's how I found Tally on Twitch, I think, playing SOTOR, and that's how I found Twitch. So I just happened to go on Twitch and Google, look up Star Citizen, and then I found all the old test gaming guys playing it, and just kind of got into it. You know what I mean? I was like, this is all right. And probably after too much eggnog and a rum, I watched them all. January 2nd, I bought a starter package, and then they kind of escalated from there. And by February, I was streaming, and by streaming, I was turning on the game, hiding in a hoodie, and trying to figure things out. But it just really sort of snowballed. It was all downhill after that. Yeah. Because really it is. It's like January 2nd. I'm like, okay, it's buggy. I work in software development. I can appreciate buggy and whatever, but I can see potential here. I like EVE. Maybe they're going to turn it into something like that. Seems like it has a decent community, and I'll put my $45 down, but that's it. That's all we're spending, $45. And then Chad and I, we actually went through my buyback history the other day. Like from the very beginning, you can see the first purchase, but then just seeing the incremental melts as I upgraded to other stuff. And it was like by September, I was probably well over concierge. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, whoop. It's like, all right, Orellan, let's see. We'll get a Hornet, but I really want the Super Hornet, but it's not available. Oh, why isn't it available? CIG. And then I bought like a Saber and then a Car to Wall, and then the anniversary sale came, and whew, we just went wild. But if I wasn't streaming the game, honestly, I don't think I would have got that into it. It was more that I was enjoying streaming the game, enjoying meeting people, flying with people, doing stuff. And I didn't want to be stuck with one ship, and it was just like, and that was the time you couldn't buy in game. There was no stuff to buy in game. There was no components, no ships. So if you wanted other stuff, you had to throw money at the screen,
And in the earlier years or early days of you doing this stuff, you were a part of test, right? So you're not in test anymore.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was part of Test Squadron, which I mean, I still hang out on their Discord and stuff, but it was more like it's such a huge org that you're not really part of Test Squadron. You know people in pockets, right? Kind of thing. Like whoever speaks to you, you hang out with or whatever. But I did end up joining Test Gaming as a stream team at some point. But I mean, for me, streaming is not a business. And I never started streaming going, I'm going to make a career at this. And this is my bit. Like, it's great that people want to do that. I have no problem with that. But to me, this is just a hobby. And I don't know, things kind of got a little too business like for me. So I just, I said, I'm just going to do my own thing. So it wasn't nothing, nothing negative. It just wasn't my thing anymore. So I just went on my own way.
And now you're a one org hero. And I appreciate the fact that you just have the avocado org as like your main org on your RSI
That's
page.
it, yeah.
I think that's pretty sweet.
And I mean, honestly, it comes back to that, like, what's in the game, and like orgs the size of Test Squadron, which I think is crazy, like huge. It's awesome. But for me, like I've been playing solo most of the time. As of late, I've been playing with other people, but it's really like I'm waiting for a time when there's actually a reason to make an org or join an org and do things that require doing in the game, right? Up until now, people they have these huge orgs, and they're organizing 25 versus 25 battles with each other, in the same org or maybe another org. But I guess the word, and Burks used this on Twitter, organic is the word. There's no organic gameplay to have a reason to be on an org right now. Whenever organic gameplay is more prevalent, I definitely will be looking for a group of people that, whether it's on a main or whether it's a streaming main or an alt, maybe the org is different, but I definitely will be looking for people to play with and do things in the universe. I don't want to just like fly around by myself all the time, but at this point, there's no real reason to, I don't think.
Well, I think we got a pretty good group of people on our Saturday night kind of play session. I don't know how.
And that's an organic thing that just sort of came about by meeting friends and stuff, right? It wasn't something forced. It wasn't say I got to get into an org and be an elite PvP. It was just meeting people, which is fine,
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, anybody out there, we try and find fruit every Saturday. That's what we do.
Damn fruit.
We don't do anything outside of that. I think we have a good time doing it. It'll be a heck of a time if we actually find it, though. What will we do then? We won't have anything else to do with our lives.
Hey, will my rock fit in the Cutlass Red? Because now, if I die, I can just spawn back in that.
I think you can fit two. I think you can fit
in
two
the Cutlass Red.
No, not Cutlass Red. Sorry, I was just thinking the regular Cutlass.
Damn.
The red. That's a good question.
I'll make it fit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nubifier's here. I'm sure he might know. But Nubifier doesn't actually play Star Citizen, does he? So
no, he doesn't. Yeah, but I'm gonna borrow that stolen footage that he uses. Trouble.
Jmar says that it fits. Got a cat problem here.
Hang on, he shut off a light.
What?
There we go.
It's an intelligent cat. Velociraptor level intelligence.
Oh my god, Chad. This shit I gotta deal with. All right, hang on. Knocked over everything. The remotes. Oh my god, Chad. This cat is relentless, man.
You call him Trouble. What do you expect? He's gonna be.
That's his name, man. Why do you think he got that name?
You should have called him Honey or something good, like something sweet. Sugar cane.
No. Definitely not, man. No, Nubifier doesn't play us. Yeah, I know he
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
It's
That's
all
okay.
a ruse.
That's okay. That's fine.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, he goes on. That's what he did. He goes on Fiverr, right? He pays people to do footage, and then he just puts it in the video, and that way he's DMCA free, and then
Smartest
he
man
just
in Star
yeah
Citizen.
yeah.
So did you end up buying a Switch?
Not yet. You know what? I was on the fence. I'm about to do it, and
Yeah.
then Sergeant Tickles tweets and he says, "Oh, they're coming out with a new one with better hardware. Just wait." I was like, "What?
What?
I thought they just did that. Are they coming out with a new one again?" I feel like I was steered wrong by chat.
How
They're like,
can
buy one, buy Zelda, buy Mario, buy everything.
how can the Switch have better hardware? Like,
Well,
why
they already upgraded it once, but
did
I
they?
mean, and now I got to go Google it.
So what? Does the software work better on the better hardware? I always thought they like limit the software that's released on these things because that's
I
as
don't
good as
know.
the hardware works.
And yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. They definitely have to write to a spec because of limitations, but I don't know. Maybe just messing with me, but now I got to go Google it. I got to find out.
Is there a title that you're hoping to play on Switch?
I mean, for me, video games started like the real video games started with the Nintendo Entertainment System,
Yeah. That was your
and
first kind of gaming experience? Was the
well,
NES?
not really.
No.
No, I mean, I did play on things before that, but like other than arcade, the consoles before the NES just they paled in comparison to going to the arcade, even playing something like Miss Pac-Man or whatever, like the actual NES got really close. I mean, you could still play Mario Brothers or like Punch-Out, for example, from the NES in the arcade, and it was way better in the arcade. But it was really good on the NES versus, something like an Atari, for example.
That's true.
But like Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, The Legend of Zelda. Oh my God, chat. Woo! Like Zelda and Mario are probably the reason why Nintendo has like just cornered the market on video games like forever. Like they could just they could literally just make Mario and Zelda games and they would sell just as much hardware as if they didn't sell any other games at all.
That's literally Nintendo. You've just distilled Nintendo in like 5 words.
I'm pretty sure that's true, right? Like,
yeah.
because I'm like literally, I'm willing to go buy a Switch just to play Zelda and just to play a Mario game. Like, I don't care about anything else. I maybe I'll get that new game where people go and buy pairs on everybody's islands, but that's literally it. Now, Metroid was good, yeah. Animal Crossing, yeah, that's the one.
Metroid.
I mean, I'd probably get it just because, but
Metroid was interesting, actually. If you go back and think about the NES, you think about Zelda and Mario. Those are two big titles, no doubt. But Metroid, I think Metroid didn't really get good until the Game Boy version, which was Samus's Revenge. I think it was Metroid 2. I think it was or Return of Samus. It was, and that's when they found the Metroid egg and they had to save it or whatever. And then Metroid 3 was really good in SNES. And then it got popular because it was the only like FPS title that Nintendo had at the time before GoldenEye.
yeah.
Or wait, GoldenEye was 96. Anyways.
Oh yeah, not yet. GoldenEye. I remember.
I think Metroid could have been better. I don't know.
I never really was into the when I back then. I even within friends, we were never really into the Metroid. It was always about like Mario Brothers, and then like,
totally
Mario Brothers 2 and the Mario Brothers 3 was like the pinnacle like of the NES. And it was like, oh my God.
And now in 2020, Animal Crossing I think is the big title for Switch. Everyone bought a Switch for Animal Crossing. And I'm also thinking about Smash Brothers. Like Smash Brothers is a huge title for Nintendo just because of esports, right? So
yeah, it's kind of like a fluffier version of I don't know,
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. I just watched that documentary on Netflix, all the video game stuff and how it went to like Mortal Kombat and gory and stuff. But
there's really these elements in gaming that we can't really break free of. Like your side scroller kind of gaming is still very popular, and I don't know, FPSs are still wildly popular. We like what we like, I guess, as a species. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. So yeah, Nubifier's here. What is your relationship with Nubifier? You've already confirmed that you're not married.
It's
So
completely sexual.
is
It's
it?
completely sexual. Yeah.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
Just edit that out of the VOD.
Okay, no
There we
problem.
go. Nubifire? I have no idea who Nubifire is. Is that somebody in the community?
I heard that he's a friend of Captain Richards, so probably
Oh,
nothing
is that
but
right? Okay.
like bad news
Yeah.
bears.
I never heard of him either, but okay. I'll have to check these guys out. I don't know. He's just like someone that's been around for as long as I've been around. I don't know. It's just one of those people you like. It's like most of the streamers or that have come and gone. It's just people that have been around in the community. And there's Nubifire, right? Just one of our friends. Doesn't play Star Citizen, but he's in the community.
He says it's platonic. I don't believe
And,
it.
and he gets a hell of a lot of shit for free. I'll tell you that, man.
Isn't that
Free
strange?
joysticks, free
Yeah.
friggin' mounts,
Yeah.
free everything, man. I don't even think he paid for his car or his house. Like I think someone gave him that to review. I don't even like. Jeez, class act shill.
I'd love to know
Class
more
act.
about that. How he gets all of this free stuff. I mean, good for him, but geez.
It's like we both have joystick museums, but the difference is I paid for all of mine, sadly.
Okay, so let me just ask you about the joystick museum because
Yeah.
when I had Nubifire on here, he was like, "Well, talk to RedLir about that." So talk to me about joysticks. What do you like? What's your favorite joystick?
Here's what happened with joysticks. So back when combat was good, shots fired. Back in like 2.4, like
Yeah.
2.3, 2.4,
2.3.
2.5 was a shit show because ESP was broken. 2.6.3, we had a 6 degree of freedom game, and the dual sticks were the thing. Everybody had two T16000Ms because best bang for buck at a time. They had decent twist on them. Everybody had them, and then it was kind of like you had VKB, which had a decent gimbal, but they didn't have a good handle yet. So we're kind of like in this, and Virpil didn't exist. So we're kind of like in this era where, or maybe people had a Warthog, but people are like, man, I want a really good like metal gimbal twist, right? So it just sort of escalated because the company started delivering product and we just started pre-ordering it, buying it up one by one just to find that magic combination of perfect twist, smooth gimbal without a bump on the center that the Warthogs or the T16000s had. And it just went bananas. Like they just kept releasing products. And we kept buying them. And to this day, I have two friggin' Virpil alphas coming just so I can compare it to the VKBs and see if it has, better twist, better thumbstick. Just trying to find the holy grail. And it like the game doesn't even play the way I like for the reason why I bought sticks to begin with. You know what I mean? But I'm still chasing the dream.
So I had asked you what your favorite joystick is. So the T16000 is your favorite joystick?
Well, no. But if Virpil and VKB didn't exist, that's the joystick I would use for sure.
Wow.
Because it's cheap, it's replaceable. But I mean, I've broken probably 7 of them so far, like in my time. But I don't think anybody makes the perfect joystick yet. Virpil and VKB, they both have like their strengths, Like the VKB, for example, the Cosmo SEMA is really short and stocky. It's got a very short throw on it. That's very good. The gimbal is decent. It's got a good ergonomic grip, but the twist is kind of meh because it's like a plastic design, which is crazy because if they just would have used a metal bearing design, they would have knocked it out of the park. But it's good. The buttons feel great. It works well. That's what I'm using now. Virpil has tons of options, right? They have different bases. They got Warbird, they got CM2. So depending what you like, the Warbird gimbal is like probably the smoothest gimbal on the market. Their sticks, I mean, they've had all kinds of sticks, like fighter sticks. They have different ones for different fighters. They've had the Delta twist, right? Their twist is beautiful, but the Delta design was terrible. So they had awesome twists, but horrible ergonomics, and their throws are also a lot larger. So it's more of an elbow shoulder movement versus a wrist movement on the VKB. So it depends what you like, right? But now enter the Alpha that everybody's buying, which is a bit shorter, It may work better on the left. We'll have a good twist, and I'm buying one just to see if the analog hat is in a better spot than the BKB. But I think nowadays, for people buying boutique sticks, it's in a lot better spot than it was when we started, because there really was no options.
Yeah, I get that. And when it comes to the T16s, you're just talking about the green one. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean they're not green anymore. They're
No.
I guess whatever they named them, they changed the color, and they actually, on the bottom, the green ones didn't have mounting bolts, but on the bottom of the new ones they have mounting bolts, so you can put them on mounts. You can actually screw them into stuff.
So you actually still get the orange ones, even though they're inferior?
No, I have one. I have one left that I didn't break.
Okay.
I had a pile of them, right? Because I kept snapping them in 263, but yeah.
Well, that's cool. I don't know if I told you before, but I have Satec aviators. I have two of them. They're great.
Never tried them. Is that the old school stuff that you said?
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty sweet. Circa 2006, I think. Highly recommend it. Um, I'm also going to send you a link here on Discord. You have access to Discord right now?
Yep.
This is my dream joystick. Joysticks, there's two of them. There you go. He's just doubled up the sunglasses for you, Heavy Bob. It escalated quickly.
So that grip looks like something that Virpil sells now, but that's crazy. That's old school. What is that? That's like from.
Yeah, it's the joysticks that they use on the Apollo module, lunar excursion module.
Oh yeah.
So this is like, it's the same configuration that I use right now for flying. So the left joystick, the left controller is for translational control. The right one is for your attitude control. But man, I would love to remake these, and use them, because it's basically the same as what I have now, and that's why I use the Satex, is because it kind of emulates a similar control style. But yeah.
Yeah, it almost looks like the old Frankensticks people would build. Like just like people on the left, right? So going back to the perfect left-handed stick for people, right? People in their, because the T16000 didn't have a lot of buttons on it, right? But it had a good decent twist, and it was okay, movement wise. So people started building like Frankensticks, right? So you'd have people that would take literally the throttle head off of one stick and stick it on like the shaft and the body of a T16000M. Like Lamaro used to have, like for him, he used to have an actual Warthog throttle for forward back, but he glued like a Microsoft gamepad to the front of it to use the analog stick for strafe. Like Whitesnake, I think had, and what was the other guy that used to do the dual stick stuff? God, he doesn't stream anymore, but the name's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, like Whitesnake has a Frankenstick, I think, that has the same thing. Like it's basically a throttle head off of a throttle or another stick sitting on top of a T16000M. And he uses that. Like the people were basically duct taping two sticks together to get the stick they wanted. Trip Rodriguez, he was another one that had like a Frankenstick all built from T16000Ms. It's crazy.
Dan, it is crazy. And like I look at these two joysticks from the Apollo program. It's like these guys built these things for being spaceships, right? And that's what's one thing I think that maybe joystick manufacturers don't really consider is just, what do I say, six axes,
yeah,
6. And
and they didn't, right? They didn't understand the market that was in front of them or how fast it was growing. They did after a while, right? Like they start putting analog sticks on, changing different cam profiles. That's where you got Cosmos Sim, space cams from BKB, Cosmos Sim from Virpil. Like they slowly realized, oh, there's not just a DCS market here that wants like, specific sticks that match the cockpit for the ship they're in or the plane they're in. There's actually a whole space sim market blowing up over here, right? And I think they realize that, and that's why there are so many products now that people are getting their hands on, because they know there's opportunity there.
Wait, so you think the space sim market's exploding right now?
It definitely did since like I started playing, right?
What else do we
for
have?
sure? The market for Cosmos Simas and alphas, and before that deltas, like, man. Oh no, I'm talking space specifically for sure. ED and Star Citizen for sure. There's a huge market for sticks there that both Virpil and VKB dipped in on. Because I mean, they're not making alphas and they're not making Cosmos Semas for flight sim. I mean, people may use them. They have other handles for that, but those handles were built for space sim, and all their advertising is all around it too. I mean, they build specific cams too, right? Space sim cam, Cosmos Sema cam.
I really remember when Star Wars Galaxies had their Jump to Lightspeed expansion, and I think at the time, what do we call it? There was a dry spell in joysticks. I couldn't find a joystick anywhere. I couldn't buy a joystick for Jump to Lightspeed. But I guess things have changed since then, haven't they? But you played Galaxies as well, didn't you? So
yeah, I did, man. I love that game. I still play the Emu now and again.
oh, you do, man.
Yep, I have it installed right now. I mean, it's hard to get into it because it's. I mean, they're slowly working to actually like a real release 15 years later, right? Because I thought I had thought they got their hands in the code, or that Sony had released, given up the rights to the code, and as long as you had physical media, you're allowed to play. But apparently not. Apparently they actually reverse engineered everything about it and built it up over 15 years. Yeah. At least that's what their website says now. But I thought it was different. But they're slowly getting to the point where they have a pre-CU build ready to go. It doesn't have jump to light speed, and that's probably their next project. But they've finally gotten to the point where the Jedi village was in, where you had to do the village quest to become Jedi. I guess it wasn't like burning through 9 professions or whatever it was. But
I used to like that. I played on Starsider, by the way. I was a bounty hunter.
Yeah, my roommate played on Starsider. I played
really?
on Eclipse.
That's
I played on
sweet.
Eclipse.
Okay, yeah. I used to like it how being a Jedi was virtually impossible. Like you really had to be quite lucky. I think I'm gonna say luck is the right word.
Starsider was a good server though, because I remember him playing on it. Starsider was a really good server.
What was so good about the server? I didn't
I don't know, just the population. It was one of the last ones to die too.
Yeah.
There were a couple servers by the end that there was Starsider and I can't remember the other one, but it was just well populated, well RP'd, like active. It's good.
I like how the majority of the people I get on this show, they're like ex Star Wars Galaxies people. So
it was an amazing. The thing about Star Wars Galaxies, it's not even about the PvP or battle. It's all about the resource and crafting systems. And it was crazy because you would have like multiple resources, and within that you'd have subcategories of those resources, and then statistics on the resource, which folded up into and those statistics and categories, they spawn randomly through cycles, and you may never see one that has max stats, through the course of the whole game, but every 2 weeks or whatever, a new resource would shift in. Maybe it's really good copper, maybe it's good, something else. But then everything that was built, it was built by players, and it was all based on all of these resources and the stats on these resources. So to make the best component that goes into a gun to give the gun a certain stat, like it was just this crazy layer of you're always trying to make a better thing depending on a resource spawn. So it created this real supply and demand when a new resource would spawn, but also scarcity because the items you built in the game had deterioration on them. So as you use them, as you died, talking about death of a spaceman, as you died, it would take more damage, and eventually that item would just be gone. So there was a real fear of loss, cherishing an item because it was not going to last forever, and trying to make the best. Like it was just crazy the way they lined that up. I don't know who was responsible for the crafting and the resource in that game, but man, that was the reason that game was so good.
I mean,
it was so good.
I came from playing UO Ultima Online I basically quit UO and I started playing SWG. And from my understanding, there was a lot of people from that development team because UO got bought out by EA, and then a lot of those talented people went over to work at Sony afterwards.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was just those people. I felt like when it was Ultima Online in space when I was playing SWG. So I always believed that the crafting system came from SWG with a little bit more improvement.
Yeah, could be like from the Ultima guys. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense because they're very like old school RPG kind of, like stats matter, right? Like things like Dungeons and Dragons and going back to all those tabletop games. That's where all that was born out of, right? Was it Richard Garrity or whatever?
Yep. Yep, that's him.
So
Isn't it funny how almost 20 years later, we still don't have what Star Wars Galaxies is? I don't think so in any other game.
yeah, and it's because that MMO subscription genre just died, right? It all became free to play, microtransaction, like that whole thing. Just no one cares to put that much care into it anymore.
Yeah.
I think.
Hopefully, except for the people of Star Citizen. But this is the result. The suffering that we experience on a daily basis is the result of caring about a title that much, of fidelity.
Yeah.
What's the I don't know, you have to let me know the next time you get into Star Wars Galaxies, because I definitely like to join. I've been looking for some people to play SWG with, and I guess I just need some hand holding. So
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I think they're getting close to reset the server. Like, they're doing a full wipe when they, launch the full release, and it's a long time coming. So the population is really dwindling because no one's bothering putting in time right now because it's they're waiting for it to reset, and then it's going to be a super hard mode because everybody's starting from scratch, crappy weapons, no resources. So it's going to be really cool. So if that ever happens, I'll definitely call you.
yeah, yeah.
And then maybe you and I and Salty Mike can go look at your castle and Ultima
And
Online or whatever
Ultima,
it
did
was.
you play? Did you play UO?
No, I never did.
You
And
didn't.
you know what? I knew people that were playing those games like EverQuest and Ultima, but I was still playing MUDs back then. I was playing text-based, like basically text-based MMOs, and that's how I learned to
Wow.
type so fast.
Yeah,
Was just playing text-based games.
I get that. That's how I got fast at typing it too. Did you ever play Trade Wars by any chance?
No, but
Nope.
I want to say one of my friends did actually.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
It was pretty popular. What's another one? Legend of the Red Dragon, I think, was another popular fantasy BBS game.
No,
No, okay.
can't remember the one I played. Jeez, man.
Well, it was 70 years ago, right? So it's
Yeah,
quite a bit.
exactly. I bet the thing about the text-based MUDs is it's kind of like watching a movie based in a book and reading a book, and your mind is just so much more, it could just go so many more places than what somebody else can present to you on a screen or whatever sometimes, you know what I mean? And I think that's what it was about MUDs, is it was so like immersive in a way because your mind could just run with it instead of just someone saying, okay, here's the room and exactly what it is, and that's it.
Yeah, that's true. I did kind of want to go back to your joystick fascination obsession for a
Oh yeah.
second. Do you ever think about doing YouTube videos or reviews like Noobifier? You ever think about
Nope.
competing against Noobifier?
I have no skill set in that arena. And like honestly, the streaming enough is I don't even have a skill set. I don't even know why I'm still streaming. It's just I am not somebody that like knows how to put that shit together other than, playing Noobifier's videos and taking credit for them. That's the extent of my skill. That's it.
It's a pretty good skill to have. I wish I
A lot
could
of
do that.
work, man. Like it's a lot of work
Yeah.
putting videos and shit together. Just coming back from like I used to do a lot of recording engineering. I went for school for that, when I was younger or whatever. And producing an album, for example, like people put it in like a piece of music and they listen to it and go, oh, that was cool. That must be really easy to do, and it could take years to actually record, mix, and do something really, really crazy. The same thing with like video production, man. It's not easy to do at all and get things right.
I thought it was pretty funny though when I was searching RedLir and RedLir Live on YouTube that Noobifier videos were coming up. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's because I DMCA him all the time. He's saying WEEOO in his videos now. He
Is that
stole
what
my
he's
brand.
doing?
Yeah. Stole my brand. Son of a bebop.
Oh, that's what happens. That's what happens when you get too popular, People just start following you around.
CIG stealing Gary for Pico. Noobifier stealing WEEOO. I tell you, man.
I think it's hilarious how the Wii U thing got to where it is today. Because like people just post Wii U randomly on Spectrum now. And originally I
People
thought,
get angry though. People get angry about it. People, that's what it's like. That's what kills me about it. Is like some people get it. It's just like a wee. It's just an excuse to be like, all right, let's all have fun together. Here we are, and then some people are just like, shut the fuck up. Jesus Murphy, I'm trying to sleep over here. You kids are wheeling over there on Spectrum. How am I supposed to check to see if the 890 jump cargo was fixed or not? Like, what? Come on, Grandpa fucking Spectrum. Get out of here. Like, so cranky, man,
Well,
Jesus, Murphy.
that's why I don't go anywhere near Spectrum. There's just too many angry people there.
Well, and that's why now we read Spectrum General Chat every night on stream. We said, okay, fine. We're just going to read all of your posts on stream now and make fun of you.
That's good. Somebody's got to do that.
Yep.
So I'd like to know a bit more about the WEEOO Stream Nation. Is that what I call it? The streaming group?
I mean, it's a stream. I mean, it's a stream team on Twitch. That's what it is. But honestly, WEEOO Nation is literally a group of friends, right? It's not a stream team for business. It's not it's not there are stream teams out there that are completely business oriented. This is just it started as a joke, right? Like I made so here's the thing. The whole WEEOO thing came up. I made the emotes. Someone said, well, you're not allowed to have emotes that are single letters, yada yada, right? And I was like, oh shit, people reporting, whatever. So I looked into it, and as a partner, though, there's a little piece of verbiage in their partner section that says, actually, if you're a partner and the single letters are part of your brand, you can use them. So I made a stream team called WEEOO, and nobody was in it. I had it for months and months and months and months. And then I think was Girl in Pigtails came by and going, RedLir, how come there's nobody on the WEEOO stream team? How do we join? I was like, it's just a meme. Like there's no. And I was like, fine. So I tricked Nubafire into joining, and then I invited her. And then I just started inviting all the friends that I know in the community. It's really just a community team of everybody we've known over the years at streams that love Star Citizen or hate Star Citizen sometimes, that are just, it's not a clique, but it's, it's the people like we all know each other. It's just a group of people that are like-minded, having a fun time. So we're just making a social group of friends. That's all it is. The social group, the WEEOO Nation,
I really don't understand what it is to be a stream team. People ask me what the night crew is all the time. I don't have an answer for it. I mean, night crew is something that K Penguin started, and I just kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
But like, what even is a stream team?
I don't know. I think when you get on like the bigger levels, it's part of branding, right? Like there's those 1% streamers that are a part of team. It's part of branding, part of networking, part of being promoted by the company if you're on like the Aces stream team or whatever. But I just see it as being able to make a collection of people to support each other. But I mean, I made a stream team for the EVE Online folks, the Stream Fleet stream team. I created that for them when I was playing EVE, just because they didn't have one. Like people just want to, honestly, they just want to sometimes just so they can auto host each other easily, because you can set it to team. I don't know. I think there's different usages for it, but like you guys in the night crew, it's a good social thing, right? You're just like-minded people doing things and having fun together.
Well, I think it's funny how like the WEEOO Nation just virally exploded. Like one day it was there, and now everyone's a part of it.
And I just keep trying to invite people. And there's some people that don't want to be a part of it, and I won't mention any names, but there's and there's some people that they're like, yes, let's do it. Woo!
I want to know.
And then I tell them there's no money involved, and then they're like, oh, WEEOO.
I want to know names. I want to know who's refusing to be a WEEOOer.
No. It's all for good fun. If like I said to people joining, and like when I send out the blurb, it's like it's a social thing. It has nothing to do with any status. It doesn't matter if you have one viewer, one follower, whatever. If you want to be a part of it, like and you're streaming in the lobby, it's fine. As long as you're not, the noob of fire. Oh, wait, he's already in the team. Never mind. Yeah, he's already there.
I think I'm with Chody on this one. No revenue sharing. I'm out.
Yeah, no revenue sharing. Exactly.
Yeah, I thought the WEEOO was $1 million brand, so I guess I was deceived.
Yeah. I don't know. If you guys take off, it might be. You never know, man.
Yeah, but you've created other stream teams in the past. You said you made one for EVE. What was that like?
It was interesting because for me, I had just sort of popped back into EVE to play, some low sec PvP, and I kind of knew some people in the EVE community, but I was never really part of the streaming community there. But they were really, really welcoming, and they were helping me and like supporting me and stuff. And they're like, man, like I wish we could get a team together, like, and they had like Discords and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know what it takes, right? You just need a partner and streamer to apply for it. That's all it takes. They're like, really? like, well, maybe we could find somebody. I was like, well, I'm a partner. I said, here, I just threw in the application. I said, what do you want it to be called? Streamfleet. Here you go. Next day I handed it over to them. There you go. You got a team. And they were so happy, man. Like, oh, they invited all their friends, their parents, everybody was on the team. It was beautiful.
It's funny. I never played Eve. I don't know anything about it. Well, I know what I know about it, people coming by and Star Citizen stuff like that. But
Yeah.
what was your involvement in Eve? Like, how long did you play for? What'd you really get up to?
I mean, so I started Eve earlier back in like what 2005, 6 maybe. And it was I got into the deep end of Eve back then. It's a very, very big sandbox driven by players. It's all about controlling large area of space, assets, controlling the market. Scamming in the game is everywhere. Someone's always trying to infiltrate you and possibly trying to scam you out of your whole org's assets over years. Like they will play like an embedded thief for years, like role playing, and steal everything from you. It's crazy. The devs support that kind of thing as long as it stays in the game. It's basically just a space is dangerous and a harsh world, and here it is, go at it, right? Sandbox. So I did a lot of I lived in 0.0, lawless space, where most of those big wars and stuff happen, you know, like fleet battles of 1,000, 2,000 people against each other. Just crazy. But eventually it becomes when you get that deep into Eve, because there's different layers of Eve, but when you get right down to that deep layer with the huge orgs and the big battles, it becomes a full-time job. Like people were literally setting alarm clocks to have battles because of how, you know, structures would come out of timers so you could kill them. Like it was just nuts. Like, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to sort of back out. When I went back to Eve, you know, as a streamer, I went back sort of up at a higher level, right? So there's a place called LowSec, which is basically where the pirates hang out, the people that have the crime stat. In 0.0, you don't really get a crime stat because there's no monitoring. But in pirate space, it's like you have a crime stat, but there's a lot of single player combat going on there, right? Like you're in a single ship, a smaller ship, and there's a lot of factional warfare, they call it, set up there, where you're just fighting each other and having good 1v1s and stuff. So I kind of got into that side of it. It was a little more, it was easier to sort of like pick up and put down as a streamer than getting involved in the huge political aspect of the game. More of just, you know, having a smaller piece to play in the game. So that was what I did the last time. But then like it happens at Eve, sometimes the area you're in, the content dries up, people go away. There was some huge, you know, backstab war that happened elsewhere that drew people from the area I was in away, and it just sort of, the content dried up, and I just sort of, you know, it wasn't working anymore for streaming, so I just took a break.
I never heard of the scamming mechanic or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
so like it'd be like whatever the capital, like, so JITA is the system, one of the main trading systems in there. And so there's many hubs, like there's different pockets of space, and they sort of all link together in certain spots because there's 4 like factions kind of thing, and there's main hubs. JITA is the main hub, the biggest one. And in local chat, it'd be like someone typing in chat. Everything that's literally being typed in some way is a way to scam you to get money out of you. It's crazy. And people every day still get scammed in that game, and it still blows my mind, but it really is people just trying to scam you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it's crazy awesome.
Do you think we'll have that in Star Citizen? Because then we can call it
No.
Scam Citizen, right?
No. I don't even know if we're gonna have spaces dangerous in Star Citizen anymore.
Really?
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about this today on the stream, and there's 2 different groups of people in this game, and there's, you know, in a sense, like there's the elite dangerous solo mode style people, or even single player game type person, maybe Wing Commander or whatever, you know, those games where they just want to be left alone in their sandbox, you know, theme park, and just be themselves and do the things, right? They want to be protected. They don't want any engagement with other players. Leave me alone. Give me my PvP slider. I know that doesn't exist, but like that's their mindset. And it's not right. It's not wrong. That's their mindset. On the other side, you got guys like me, a lot of other people that come from Eve, or even the darker side of Elite Dangerous, where they just want to see the world burn. They want to engage with everybody, blow up stuff, steal things from people, like total space is dangerous. outlaw stuff, high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward. Uh, so there's two groups of people that are trying to get this game made or want to see it made. And I don't know what's going to happen for CIG, how they're going to, which side are they going to lean more towards, when they finally start putting in the main systems. So I don't know that we're ever going to get what Eve is or how much out of it. I think they're going to lean more towards the ED side personally, but
why not both?
I guess we'll see.
Why not both? Ultima Online had both. Just saying.
I know, but like we already have prisons in the game where the second you engage with anybody in PvP outside of like one area, you basically just go to jail. And then your options are do a gameplay mechanic that you have no interest in and you're not playing the game for, or log out and play a different game. Like, that's pretty on the nose, so I don't know. We'll see what they do long term. I know it's alpha, it's one system. Maybe things get better with Pyro. Maybe they have better plans, but I'm not sure we're going to get the Space is Dangerous part. We'll see.
Let me ask you, which faction do you reside in? Are you on the Care Bear side? Or are you on the chaotic evil side?
Honestly, like the thing is, I'm a little bit of both, but when so take Eve for example, I did a lot of pyring at Eve, a lot of warfare, blowing shit up, getting blown up, whatever. But I also decided me that I got into an exploration ship. I would go scan down really rare stuff, try to make some money, PvE stuff, right? But here's the difference, though. For me, if I want the really good PvE stuff, I got to go into the enemy space, really dangerous spots. So you have to be careful. You have to know what you're doing. You have to look around, be smart about it. You can't just go do and waltz in there, right? So there was a sort of a thrill factor because you knew you could get caught at any moment, but if you did it right, you could make a lot of money, So that was the excitement for me, but it was still PvE. But I knew I could get killed at any moment because space is dangerous, right? So I'm definitely a little bit PvE. I do enjoy Care Bear activities, some mining and stuff now and again. But I'm also fully aware that, I'm not free to do so without somebody possibly coming and trying to ruin my day.
Yep. Well, all I see of you so far is that you're really good at finding fruit. Well, I mean,
yeah.
You put a lot of effort into finding fruit. We haven't found any fruit yet. The effort is there. So, I don't know. I think we can have both. I have a bias. I'm just stubborn about that.
I mean, it just depends on what they do, because I think they can give the people that don't want to they don't want to interact with other people. I just think they would have to do that in a very low risk, low reward aspect, right? People can't expect to have the highest rewards in the game without risking something. And I think people that have that mindset that they want to experience everything without interacting with anybody or risking it, I mean, I hope that CIG doesn't go full in that direction, but they could definitely set up real high sec space. Like the thing in Eve, there is high sec space in Eve, right? There's high security and there's different levels, like from 1.0, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, right? And as you go down, basically the security gets lower and lower, the cops respond slower, yada yada. You get to 0.4 to 0.1, and that's pirate space, where there ain't no cops, but they still know a criminal activity you're doing and you get flagged as such and yada yada. You're still being reported. And then there's 0.0, which is completely lawless. Now, the rub is you would think that, okay, well, 0.0 must be the most dangerous place to be in Eve. And the irony is that if you're a trader or somebody hauling really expensive stuff from JITA in high sec and trying to get it down to a jump point, maybe to get it into low sec later, the most dangerous spot for you is actually in the highest security space, because people will essentially, they set up a risk versus reward for what you're carrying. Do you have something extraordinary on board that's worth so much money that they can risk a fleet of ships that they know as soon as they attack you, the cops are coming and blowing them up, guaranteed. But if they attack you hard enough and fast enough, you blow up and drop your cargo and somebody else comes and picks it up, right? Even though they lost their stuff. So it was worth the risk versus the reward. But I don't think we'll see that in Star Citizen, and I'm not sure I would want that part in Star Citizen. I think there should be a little bit of a safer place for people that just want to fully Care Bear it up to go and not have to worry about high sec ganking. But in Eve, like nowhere is safe truly, you know.
I think they'll still get ganked, or there'll be a risk of getting ganked though from NPCs, and I don't see why there really needs to be a
Yeah.
difference between NPCs and humans. Like I think they can both be at the same skill level, maybe.
Well, and that, I mean, years ago, that's what they said they wanted, right? They said they wanted it so you didn't know what was what. Like truth. They didn't. They wanted you to engage something not knowing if it was human, right? That was basically one of their original mission statements or whatever. Because it was supposed to be what 9-to-1 NPCs and in the verse, or not 9-to-1 like NPCs to players, basically, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted when you interact with an NPC, you're not really quite sure if it's a player or an NPC.
Yeah.
I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know how close to that they'll get, but if they do, that would that's gonna be very interesting because but they could be going on the forums. I've been griefed, and it's like we've already had that YouTube videos of guys going on for 20 minutes about being griefed and showing evidence, and it was an NPC that did it. Like there was a space in the name, right? And it was like, well, I hate to break it to you, but you know, I don't know. We'll see how good their AI gets, I suppose, but that would be interesting.
Maybe when they introduce the pyro system, that'll be the first time they'll have low sec. Do you say it's low sec space?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of security space they're gonna have with it. It would be at least be low sec or null sec in that space. Like it would be, you know, I don't know if it depends whether or not crimes are recorded when you do a crime there or not, how you would label it. But yeah. I mean, either way, yes. I think it'll be either low or null for sure. Like basically where the buffalo go to roam, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I do remember. Sorry.
I mean, well, I'm just curious. Like, what if they put like mining materials in there that are like 100 times worth what they are in Stanton? You know what I mean? So now the miners are like, well, shit, I want to go there, but you know, that's where all the baddies are. What do I do? Right? So that's the risk.
I could just imagine how the miners would react, and I don't want to say anything in case I offend somebody, but
well, no, but it was like that in Eve.
Yeah.
Like the really expensive stuff was in the most dangerous spot. So
Pyro seems like a good place to do mining, though. It seems like there'd be a lot of things there. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe you can do it, right? Like, because if it's a big place and nobody can find you easy with scanning and stuff, and you set up correctly, maybe you can do it. It's like going to mine in the belts now that around the system in Stanton, right? Really, if you get it set up in a spot, nobody really find you. But at the choke points, like a jump gate or something, you know, maybe that's where you gotta be more careful when you're coming in and out, kind of thing, right? Having someone scout the way for you or whatever.
Also, Gorgon, the destroyer, is saying in chat that Pyro is larger than Stanton by an order of magnitude. And I think that's interesting because I always say that the thing that protects you most in Star Citizen is the scale. So like you flying around in space, no one will ever find you. So if Pyro is bigger, then well, get rid of the.
Yeah, but it's always about those choke points, right?
Yeah.
In the ins and the outs, and if you're predictable, you know, coming into a station or whatever, you know, whatever they have in there. But it's never. I don't think it's really about the, you know, while you're off being sneaky and doing stuff. It's while you're coming and going that people get you, I think.
There was a patch in Avocado that they had removed security. Did you participate during that one?
I'm pretty sure I did. I haven't played Avocado in a long time, but I do remember that.
Okay. I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was a bug or a feature, like if they're actually just testing out like a social experiment, what we would do if we were all locked in a room together with the ability to shoot one another openly.
Well, I mean, we had that at Grimhex when it dropped, essentially.
That's true. Yeah. Can you still do that at Grimhex?
Not yet, but if they ever remove Armistice like they said they wanted to, I mean, you could literally camp somebody at the bed, right, when they're waking up out of the hab. So I'd be curious. I mean, you could punch people recently, right? You could actually kill somebody with punching them and stomping them. They turned that off though.
That's horrifying to imagine that people can bed snipe you. Is that the term for it? Bed sniping?
I don't know. I mean, that's literal spawn camping right there, man. They're camping in your room, like holy jeez.
Yeah, like how do you go against that without catering to Care Bears, or they say hand weavium?
I don't know. Don't live at Grimhex.
Don't live at Grimhex. That's right. Yeah. Often I say get good. I use the phrase get good all the time. Maybe I shouldn't do that though. Maybe that offends some people. What do you think?
I think it's meant to offend people.
Why? I don't think
Get good.
so. That's
Get good is it's totally a trigger
it
phrasing, you
shouldn't
know.
be because when we were playing Mario, we had to get good. They weren't gonna. Nintendo
Yeah, but
wasn't
I
gonna make
never
it.
got good. I just yelled at the screen and let my friend beat it. You know what I mean? Mario, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, still screaming about that. Oh, that's
Uh,
cool. Go ahead.
well, the get good thing though, like a lot of the time, it's not even about like like a dexterity check or skill set. It's about game knowledge, right? Like it really is. Like a lot of people just storm into SC in a lot of games and they just expect it to be handed to them and they get stomped on. And there was a lot of things they could have done not to get stomped on, but they didn't have the game knowledge or care to actually figure out the game knowledge that would prevent it. You know.
I don't know why people are so offended by it. It just makes me wonder if people expect us to lower the bar for them or something. It's like, oh, I'm not good at this game, so the game must be broken.
Well, and that goes back to my the two sides of the fence, right? I mean, we ended up like the solo mode, just leave me alone, let me play my kind of sandbox experience. And hey, we got auto gimbal. They're clearly
That's
willing to
true.
pander to that side of it.
That's true, man. I was so surprised when they talked about that. And what is it? The curving of the bullets too, like how it like
Yeah, it's on
rounds.
fixed weapons. Yeah, fixed weapons have bullet bending now.
Is that a big like? Do you really notice that in PvP?
Oh, for sure. I mean, they show you a pip this big, but the pip is literally this big
Wow.
now, right? Like the thing is, it's because of a lot of problems. It's a big band-aid for a lot of old problems that the new team doesn't understand how to implement, or the system is so old they can't implement it anymore. When JP was around, the ESP system he had uh didn't need bullet bending, right? Like it would kind of it wouldn't aim for you, but your ship, the way you flew, it was more forgiving and guiding you into where you were going, right? So I think they're kind of using bullet bending with their new version of ESP to kind of simulate that. But essentially, they've just turned the pips into like this big and slowed down all the ships.
Right.
That's really like the end result. A much bigger area.
Well, as a caterpillar pilot, I am outraged.
Outrage!
Outraged.
Don't worry, just turn on your auto gimbal. You'll be all right.
Yeah. Something they did talk about a lot in the previous patches was VJoy. Or I saw that word getting thrown around a bit, and I wanted to ask you more about that because you're a joystick guy.
No, but VJoy is not a joystick thing. It's a mouse thing.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yep.
maybe you could just TLDR that for me.
No, I can't because I don't use a mouse.
Okay, all right. Never mind that. How? What? That doesn't make any sense. What is it? What?
I think it's basically like virtual joystick, right? It basically turns a mouse into a virtual joystick, essentially. Like I guess like when you move a joystick and you go this far, you don't get full deflection, right? You don't get 100% input. You get 10% or whatever. If you go this far, you get 100%, right? So I think it emulates sort of that movement, right? The farther you pull that line, kind of thing, it emulates you pulling the stick further in a direction, is essentially.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I would answer some questions as well. I think I've noticed those changes. I would say recently I probably fly more mouse and keyboard than I have in any of their previous patches. It seems to be pretty good, especially if I ever do.
Yo-yo there.
What's that?
You said Gorgon. I see yo-yo on the HUD. Yeah, the yo-yo exactly.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. I don't know if that makes me a pleb though for doing PvE PvP stuff with mouse and keyboard, like choosing to do that instead of using joysticks. My joysticks are 20, like 15
I don't
years
know,
old.
man. Like I think we need parity, right? Like
Yeah.
here's the thing. I think they're closer to having parity now than they were in 3.9. I just don't think it's none of it's at a really great spot. And 2.6.3, gamepad aside, because God forbid they make gamepad parity with a mouse. The mouse is so much more of an accurate device than a gamepad, let alone a joystick. But back in 2.6.3, I can tell you, fighting people in discords late at night for hours and hours and hours. There were people that would dual stick. There were people that were stick and mouse. People that were keyboard and mouse. And you were very, very hard pressed at the top tier of pilots to know who was using what input method. Like it was very balanced, you know, in a sense. There was good people using every type of input method. It all just sort of worked. It like by the time we got to 3.4, because everything broke in 3.0, it turned into basically mouse meta because, you know, people use sticks, but it was, there was, you could just flick shot everywhere. It was basically an FPS shooter, like, you know. So, and that's why we got to 3.5 madness, because though the guys that were working on the flight model at that point didn't actually work for CIG back in the 2X days. So they reinvented the wheel.
Oh, is that? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, JP was gone by then. I mean, David had come in under JP back then, but he was very, very new. Yogi definitely wasn't there. So everything we have now is them sort of reworking it, right? So JP stuff is, for the most part, the ESP for sure is a black box to them.
Yeah, that's tragic. I never realized that. I enjoyed hover mode. I thought that was a lot of fun. You just needed.
I hated that thing.
Just
I wouldn't care if you let me turn it off, but like they have now, right? You can turn
Yeah.
off the proximity assist, but it was, I don't want to fly a helicopter. I want to fly, you know, a ship that behaves the same, whether it's going really fast or really slow.
I don't know. I think that like a spaceship is a helicopter. I mean, what's really the difference?
I don't know.
I mean, I fly around in Kerbal. I like playing Kerbal a lot, and I think Kerbal is, I don't know, as real as I can get. And the spaceships in Kerbal fly like helicopters. So
But I think the thing is they changed your controls though, right? Like my pedals, my roll all of a sudden became left and right. And it was like, wait, whoa! If I want to roll, let me roll. You know, like when the hover mode kicked in, it literally just changed the way you were flying. Which, you know, it wasn't like you're flying a helicopter and then flying a helicopter. You're flying a spaceship and then now you're flying a helicopter. It was the controls completely flipped.
Yeah. Yo, you use your pedals for roll?
I do, yeah.
Very
I mean,
strange.
people that play DCS would use it for rudder or yaw.
You're supposed to use it for rudder. That's the airplane, you know?
Yeah, but I never played DCS or any space or any flight sim ever. So
that's interesting.
I never had sticks before Star Citizen.
It's so popular, and I don't understand why so many people do it. It's like they got a memo to be using a roll for your
well,
pedals.
it's just a more important, I don't know, it's a more important axis, I think. It's easier on the foot. You use it so much in Star Citizen, especially in combat. Roll is massive.
Yeah.
Like because it's the one rotation that just is almost instant and responsive, right? So you can really roll into shots and stuff. Like yaw, you know, it's there, but most people I know, especially myself, like there is pitch and yaw. I would say most of combat is strafing, rolling, and pitch, and yaw is a little bit to do with it.
I see. Okay.
Depends who you are, what ship you're in.
Yeah. Totally geared towards PvP then. So that would make sense why I don't touch that at all.
But that's my opinion, you know.
No, well, you're also offering some transparency to me because these are types of things that I don't really get into. I mean, if it comes to any type of combat, then I'll just whip out the mouse and keyboard and do it that way.
Yeah, like when I started, I didn't have pedals. I had two T16,000s, and one was strafe up and down on the twist, and one was roll. Right, so it just became easier to separate the axis like onto a different, you know, appendage, I suppose, and not have roll on what people consider the aim stick, but so you're not doing too many things to confuse it. But everybody's different. Everybody has a different setup.
Yeah, and that's what the whole get good thing is about too. Is like find a control thing that works for you and get good with it. Your brain's very flexible. It'll get used to whatever you throw at it, I think.
Yep.
Oh well. All right. Well, we're coming into an hour and a half now. I'll probably kind of leave it there. It's pretty late for you. Is there anything I missed? I don't know. Like, what do you have planning for the rest of the year? Like, as far as Star Citizen goes, I don't know.
Man, I don't know. I've just been waiting for combat to get back to a level that I enjoyed. Like when I first started playing this game, the reason why I backed so heavily or why, I really got involved was because of that fast-paced, exhilarating combat in this game. And At some point, we lost that. It became a completely different game, and I think slowly they're getting back to it. It's going to take them a lot of patches to get there, but they're starting to go in that direction. I don't think we'll ever get back the thing we had, but we'll probably get closer to it than we were in 3.5. And I mean, 3.10 is not the epitome of good for me for combat, but I'm at least enjoying fixed weapons again and having some fun or whatever. But I'm hoping that they, give us G forces again, make ships, those medium light fighters, racers, really fun to fly again. Nothing wrong with big ships. They all fly perfectly fine. But the combat ships need some love. They need to add the skill ceiling back and make the game, fun again. And hopefully they get some more, combat aside, flight aside. Hopefully they can just get some more game loops in that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, people, I going back to almost the first thing we talked about, like some organic activities to give people a reason to just go out and play and test. And I realize it's an alpha and it's not gonna be done, but there needs to be more organic things to do so we feel like there's a reason to play, and by playing we test. And I don't know. I guess 50 people per server, it's kind of tough.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. It's funny too that you mentioned the big ship thing, and that they're perfect or they fly well. And I'm like, I'm never.
Well, I mean, they're in the ballpark. They feel like big ships, right? But I think people get afraid. Like there's something on Spectrum where the combat community rolls in, and then and they'll say, "Look, you need to fix." Like I'm talking about, we need rotational acceleration. We need 6 degrees of freedom. We need like our fighters and racers to feel fighters and racers again. And then the big ship community is like, no, the flight model's fine. Get out of here. Leave it alone. Like, it's like, we're not asking for your 890 jump to be a hummingbird. Like, we just want the combat ships to feel like combat ships again. It's like, I don't know.
I have such a heavy bias. I am sorry about that. I just do cargo. I just fly around the universe in my caterpillar. But
Yeah, it's fine though, right? Like, that's the game needs everybody. It's not just gonna be a combat game. If you want it to feel like a real breathing universe, you need people that are gonna be every role, people that role play every role if they want to. But everybody kind of has to be at least a little bit happy in the role. Like the way I explain it to people is like, look, this isn't World of Warcraft in the sense that we have leveling trees, right? There's only certain things that will make mechanics and professions deep, and that's game knowledge on those mechanics and actual, in the case of combat, reasons to get good, learn some decks. Like I was a garbage pilot in certain 2x patches when I first started, but I sat down with the people that were the best, and I learned the tricks. I learned how to control G forces. I got okay. It wasn't the best pilot, but I could hold my own, whatever. But it took a little bit of time, but it was really rewarding, right? I didn't put ticks in the box, and I've leveled up, and here now I'm a good pilot. I learned the ropes. There's no room for that anymore in the game when it comes to combat. There is nothing to learn, and it's literally just a DPS race when it comes to combat. So that profession is just boring, and that's not going to be good for the game. It'd be the same, with trading. With let's say trading, every route had the same exact return every time, and it was just mundane. Run this back and forth. There's no reason to go and find the best trade, to the safe trade. If there was no depth to the mechanic, it'd be boring. So they need to make sure the mechanics in the game and the professions all have something that feels rewarding, for that profession. Like now, exactly. That's my 2 cents.
You bring up trade, and you kind of stirred up a wasp nest there. So I don't think there should be a meta trade. I don't think there should be one commodity. I think that you have to.
Exactly. But it's a supply and demand thing, right?
Yeah.
But you as a trader, you're going to be digging into that meta and getting the game knowledge and trying to be in the head of the curve the way a stock market person would be. Thing. You know what I mean? Like, but that's going to be part of the fun for you, right?
There's no meta in the stock market, though. That's the thing. There's no one stock that's going to be a good buy, and it changes so quickly. So, like, for you to chase the meta, it doesn't. I don't see how that could really happen in trade.
Well, I don't know. I think it will.
It's like, okay, I just
I
think
mean, on a daily basis, I think, well, because there'll be demand for stuff in different areas, but you won't
that's
be able
right.
to know that all the time. But
The like you'll wanna you start your day off in Star Citizen and like you'll just read the news. You'll see how the war is affecting commodity movement across space. So you say,
speculation, right? Which is
yeah.
what stock markets and stuff. But yeah,
Well, that's all there is to it. I mean, it just you're not. It's like everybody could be doing something different, I guess, and still, you
all
know,
right. So I'll change the example and just say let's pretend there's only one trade route. Yeah, so you know what? If you want to get to like a combat example to versus trading, now you're a trader. There's only one possible trade route in the game. That's it. There you go. You only run trade from Port Olisar to wherever New Babbage and back, and that's the only option you get now.
yeah.
Thanks. Have a nice day. Would that be exciting? you know, I guess let's put it that way. You
Well,
know,
I'll tell you one thing about trade is the sunsets are really good, and I would say
yeah,
90%,
yeah. It's a
90.
screenshot
I'm
simulator.
sorry, man, but 90% of the enjoyment of me playing this game is just watching the sunsets
Yeah.
happen. So
Well, I'll tell you what. I've gotten some really awesome screenshots in the Broken Moon map and Arena Commander. So
yeah, oh yeah, that's a good map. And we took a pretty good screenshot, I think, 2 weeks ago in the Hurston Canyon. That was a lot of fun.
yeah,
I don't know.
my
Anyways,
cat's losing his mind.
yeah, that's okay. I think we should wrap it up anyways because it's getting
All right.
kind of late. So you know what, RedLir, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's late for you, so yeah.
My
And
pleasure. Gary says good night. There
Gary
we go.
says good night. Very nice. Cool. And I want to thank all you guys for watching the stream today. I'm going to move you guys off to Carbon Tales there. And this was a special thing for Tuesday for RedLir just to accommodate his schedule. But this Friday, it's going to be same old, and I'm going to have Stim Citizen on this Friday. So be sure to check out then. And thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
See ya.